Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine, without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when people have drunk freely, an inferior one, but you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord. This very interesting fragment of the Gospel provides us with many teachings. First of all, let us situate the context. A wedding feast. A feast consecrated with the presence of Jesus. But Jesus was not the main guest. It was the Virgin Mary. They say that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was invited to the wedding, and that Jesus and his disciples were also invited. I don't know if it was because of the presence of Christ and his 12 friends that the wine ran out, but it showed up throughout the wedding feast that lasted several days. There was that problem, there was no wine. A wedding feast without wine, I imagine without the possibility of sending someone to buy some at a nearby tavern, generated a problem. It was a minor problem, certainly, but it was a discredit for that young couple, for the family, which would surely be remembered for a lifetime. Those who, when they celebrated their wedding, didn't have wine, they were poor or careless. It was a nuisance. There is a different reaction to this problem between a woman and a man. The woman, the Virgin Mary, realizes it immediately. Jesus, a man, does not notice. Jesus is busy, surely teaching his disciples, talking to them, or talking to the people at the wedding, evangelizing. However, the Virgin Mary is a woman. She would be busy too, sure, but she has a much finer perception of reality. She realizes right away that there is a problem, and so are mothers. You come home and you arrive with a problem. Your father doesn't realize it, and your mother realizes it as soon as she sees you. It's a different sensitivity. Our Lady realizes it, and immediately she goes to tell her son, "Hey, this is what is happening. These friends of ours, we don't know if it's because Jesus has been with so many people. These friends of ours have a problem." Well, this is one way of looking at things. There may be another. Jesus had realized the problem. He knew even the thoughts of the people. He is God. He knew what the problem was, but pretended not to notice the problem precisely in order to be able to give the next lesson, a very important lesson. Then comes an answer that is not a snubbed answer, which I think is important not only in what is written, but also in the tone in which it is pronounced. But it is an answer that sounds like an excuse. My time has not yet come. He also says to the Virgin Mary, there the translations do differ a little, and that difference is important. He tells the Virgin, woman, don't complicate my life. Hey, I am doing something else right now. Besides, to put me to work, a miracle here is going to attract attention anyway. Don't complicate my life. That's what it says according to this translation, which I don't like very much. It says, how does your concern affect me? Well, my time has not yet come. He knows perfectly well what is going to happen. He's God, but he tells the Virgin so that we could all listen to him. The first thing is that Our Lady knows that Jesus can do miracles. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said this, because Jesus had no greater possibility than the newlywed bride and groom themselves to buy wine. It's not that Jesus had a wine cellar nearby which he had keys to and he could say, hey, get some vessels of wine. No, Jesus knows, the Virgin Mary knows that Jesus does miracles. Jesus is 30 years old. They have lived their whole lives together. Since he was born in Bethlehem, she has seen him perform miracles, miracles that would surely go unnoticed because he didn't want to draw attention to himself. Many would interpret them as coincidences or domestic miracles, obvious home miracles that our mother and Saint Joseph knew where they came from. Our Lady knows that Jesus can work miracles, and that's why she goes to him. There is no wine left. Before Jesus' somewhat distant response, Our Lady doesn't flinch. Mary's response is very interesting. She is indifferent to the apparent rejection that Jesus makes to her request. I'm sorry to express myself in a colloquial way, but she doesn't pay any attention to him. She doesn't pay any attention to him. She knows that her son will not deny her anything she asks of him. First great teaching. Our Lady is a mediator, and she knows it and exercises it. She knows the authority she has over her son. She has the authority of a mother. I'm not speaking of power. I'm speaking of authority, moral authority, spiritual authority. I'm not talking about superiority. I'm talking about authority. Jesus is superior. Jesus is God. Jesus has the power. Our Lady doesn't do the miracle. Our Lady asks her son to do the miracle. She has the authority to do it, the authority of her mother and the authority of her teacher, and she knows that. She knows that he is not going to deny her anything. So before her son's objection, possibly calculated by her son to give us precisely this lesson, to tell us the power or authority of his mother over him, and that he will never deny her anything she asks of him, Our Lady goes to the employees of the house and tells them this phrase that we should never forget: do whatever he tells you. But Jesus has just told her that he is not going to perform the miracle, that it is an inconvenient moment, that he is not for that he is going to call attention upon himself. The time has not yet come. The Virgin Mary pays no attention. She knows that nothing she asks of Jesus will be denied. But the teaching is contained in this phrase that she addresses the servants. Mary will always tell us, obey my son. Do whatever he tells you. Mary will never claim anything for herself as a final point. Mary is always a channel that leads us to Jesus. Whatever we give to her, she gives to her son. We will always hear from her words that lead us to her son. No one ever loved Jesus like a mother, like his mother. We can ever love Jesus as much as Mary loved him. As much as we love Our Lady, none of that love will detract from Christ's love. And nothing of Christ's love for Mary will be so much that we will surpass it. Our Lady knows that Jesus will heed her claims, her requests. Jesus gives us this teaching, showing himself at first reluctant or even unaware of the problem. He's telling us, ask my mother, ask me too. There is also no problem in asking Jesus directly. I do. Ask my mother, because nothing she asks me for, nothing will be denied her. Another lesson. The wonderful miracle has already taken place, well, but the head waiter, the one in charge of the wedding feast, says to the owner of the house, to the new husband, he says, "You have left the good wine for later." This is very strange. He notices, surely he was an expert wine taster, he notices that the wine after the miracle that came from pure water, well, that wine is richer, tastier. He left the good wine for later. And there is also a teaching there. Marriage is based or should be based on love. Nowadays, it is like that. Maybe before there were family conveniences, arranged marriages, well, but nowadays, normally, the great majority of cases, at least, a man and a woman get married because they want to get married because they're in love. That love is supposed to be, at least it is for sure in most cases, it is a strong, intense love, of which both the two future spouses both are convinced. They experience it. But throughout the wedding party, which symbolizes married life throughout the years of marriage, the wine is over. The party is over. Love is over. Sometimes months have passed. Sometimes the crisis in the 10 years, well, they have aged. They have aged at different rates of maturity, not only physically but also spiritually. He's no longer the person you married. You discover a different man. Maybe you didn't know him well, a different woman. Maybe you didn't know her well. Love is gone. It's over. And then the breakup comes, the separation, the honey, I don't feel anything for you anymore. Honey, I don't love you anymore. Or you deserve a better man. You stay there. I'm living with the secretary. Or you deserve a better woman. There you stay. I'm going with whoever. That happens many times. Other times the breakup doesn't happen because of the children, because of an economic problem, and but there is a real breakup. Even if it's not a legal breakup, love is gone. What is the teaching that Jesus gives us with this transformation of water into wine, which is better than the first wine? He's telling us that when things are done for Christ, for God, and with Christ, with God, the outcome of that love is better and not worse and worse. That love, it doesn't disappear, it grows. It's certainly different, but it's better. It's different, yes. It's not the same between the relationship in a couple that has been married for 20 years or 30 years than the relationship that those same couples had when they were sweethearts or newlyweds. It's not the same, but it doesn't have to be worse. It's different, but it can be better. And in fact, this is often the case. When you say in the everyday trials of all kinds, problems that arise because of different perceptions of how to raise children or because of different interests, perhaps one or the other more concerned about the economic issue and the other more concerned about time. The trials of real life, the trials that are presented by age, that generally, since the men usually marry a little older than the woman because it generates a care on the part of the woman to the man when he is getting older and she has not yet aged so much. The trials of life. If you, from the first time, from the instant, even before the wedding, you have said, "For you, Jesus, with you, Jesus," if not only the intense, passionate, strong human love which has led you to marry that person whom you love very much, but you have put God there, you have introduced God as a unifying element, and little by little, as human love was diminishing, religious motivation was growing. It was purifying human love. It enriched it. It removed selfish elements that disappeared with the passage of time. Years ago, for some time, for quite a long time, I gave premarital courses in the parish of Madrid, and I always ask a trick question to the bride and groom. At that time, many people were still getting married in the church, and we had workshops with many couples. I always ask a trick question, and practically all the bride and grooms got the answer wrong. I would ask, "Why do you want to get married?" And they would all say, "Because I love her, because I love him, because I am going to be happy with her, I'm going to be happy with him." Practically none of them said, "I want to get married because I love her and because I want to make her or him happy." Although their love was sincere, authentic, intense, it was also selfish. True love puts the loved one first. True love makes you feel happy because you see the other person happy, and your happiness consists precisely in making the other person happy, and this in a reciprocal way, of course, because if you marry a selfish person, you give and you don't receive, and you lose. You have to keep that in mind before entering into a relationship. However, that for you, Jesus, with you, Jesus, will make precisely that this desire to please, to make happy, or to contribute better said to the happiness of the other is possible. Because when you don't feel like it, then the religious dimension comes in with all its strength and power. I would run away from here, but for you, Jesus, I'm staying. Of course, not only in the family relationship, spouses, parents, elders, children, but in any other aspect of life, work naturally. Lord, I would run away from here, but for you, Jesus, I stay. It's the cross that you want me to carry for you and with you. So let us draw these teachings from this wonderful gospel of the wedding feast at Cana. The first, let us not forget it, nothing that we ask of Our Lady, nothing will go unheeded by her Son, nothing. It is Christ himself who has given her such authority. Whomever obeys her like a son to his beloved mother. And secondly, in family relationships, in any relationship of friends, in any community relationship, put Christ. Put Christ. It will enrich your love. And sometimes it will even save it. Let us ask the Lord to help us not to forget these lessons and to put them into practice. Amen.